What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Team Solemn Circus live video. On the left side here, we have Melodious going up against Fire King Snake Eye Azamina. We are going to be playing on the right side here. We're obviously playing on the mat. Before we dive on in, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, channel a lot. We're on the road to 10K, and we need you guys' support. Trying to hit that before the end of the year. It does look like it's not going to happen, but, obviously big dreams for big goals. And, yeah, so we are going to be diving on in. Melodious is going to be choosing to go first by winning the die roll here, and it does not look like a good hand. We see a Veiler, and they're just going to set a Call by the Grave and pass turn on that. That is not looking a good Melodious hand. We do have a Veiler, a copy of the Herald, and then a Concerto, and I think the Couplet as well here. But we are going to be normal summoning with the Arvada, and then that's going to allow us to have a Monster Negate on the field. Then we actually send the OG Garoons to the graveyard to summon out the Diabellstar. Diabellstar will then activate the effect here to set, and they do chain a Veiler to this, but we chain a copy of the Arvada, destroying an Ash from our hand to negate that Veiler. Now, looking back, they could have decided to chain the Herald if they wanted to negate that Arvada, make it so that we would not set. But we're going to be opting to just keep that for a later turn, or later part of the turn. We are going to go for the Deception here. Deception is going to be sending the Diabellstar, allowing us to search for the Hallowed Azamina. We can now activate the Hallowed Azamina, sending the Deception to the graveyard to allow us to summon out either the Regal Shalio or the whatever it's called. We are going to go up into the Rest Shalio, whatever the one that searches the Ultra here, and we do chain a Herald to this to negate and destroy. Now, honestly, this is not going to be that great for us because we are going to be able to banish or put it back to the bottom of the extra deck to allow us to add back the Hallowed Azamina. And we do realize that it has the effect that when it's destroyed by battle or by card effect, it can search for a spell. So we really should have, activated the same thing. Looking back, they just wouldn't have heralded it. They didn't know what the card does, and we kind of get punished as well. We should have activated it in the graveyard. It would have got the hit with Call of the Grave, which kind of would have been worse for us because then it would have just been banished. But we do end up going for a Hallowed, and then we chain the Wanted, sending that so we get to search for a Diabellstar again, but having a free discard. And then we summon with the Silvera here. Then we poke with our two little Omni Negates, or I guess an Omni Negate and a Monster Negate. And yeah, with that, we're just going to be able to reset the Deception during the end phase and pass turn on that with a Diabellstar in the hand for the follow-up turn. And here they should admit defeat because they realized they had drawn into an Aria, and they're not able to do anything with that as well. Yeah, that's definitely rough, with those kind of hands. When you open up Concerto as well as the Couplet, it's like, wow, it hurts. But those are the times you get those random hands in Melodious, even though it is a super consistent stack. You have your 9 1-card starters, and then, of course, you also have a bunch of 2-card starter or 2-card combos, and then you even have like Prosperity if you do play it. I definitely recommend you should play it in your Melodious deck if you're not, but it kind of turns to like 10 1-card starters, but at that point it's like, well, you have those random cards, you have those hand traps that you can brick on, you have the Call by the Grave and stuff like that, and you have that one Concerto that if you had another Melodious monster, you would then be able to make a combo, but unfortunately you just didn't have that, which is kind of unfortunate, but it does necessarily suck, but it most likely will not happen again in Game 2. You want to get them out of the system in one of the earlier games so you can have a bit of a better game here. Now, Melodious is actually in a very interesting part of the format. It was very good last format, being a good high rogue option, but now it's kind of fallen off of favor because of the Azamina card. A lot of the decks, including getting hit with Prosperity, like a lot of the decks just have a lot more power than Melodious, and Melodious kind of has become too fair of a deck. Before, you could go your full combo with one of your 9-card starters, and then you can go like the, you go Prod of Prosperity, Dig, but now like Prod of Prosperity is going to kind of like, you have to start with it if you don't have one of your combo pieces, which is kind of unfortunate. But like before you could search for one of those side deck cards or anything like that, it was kind of crazy. I thought that Melodious was definitely a sleeper build, the previous format, but now it just like kind of has fallen off, kind of like purely, honestly. But we're going to be diving on into game number 2 with the Ostinato being played, and we do chain an Impulse to this, and this is another problem that Melodious has. Impulse is going to be very good in the format, and being able to do that is going to be kind of crazy. Now, we do normal summon the Refrange. They had 2 of the 1-card starters this time around. We do chain Veiler to that, or I guess in this case Imperm, but they have a cross out for the Imperm as well. Now, they're not playing Impulse in their deck, therefore they couldn't cross it out, but having the Imperm is going to be quite nice. Now, we do end up searching for the Couplet, which can then send out the Ariana, and we had Ariana in her hand once again. Not the greatest kind of draw, but it will still do. We then end up going for the Concerto that we searched off the couplet, and we're going to activate the effect to go up into the Baka. Baka is going to be Chain Link 1, Chain Link 2, Chain Link 3. Doesn't really matter. I tend to prefer to leave the Baka Chain Link 3, because if my opponent do choose to Ash this here, their Ash is going to be doing absolutely nothing. So we end up going into looks like we're looking for either Soprano or the level 7. Now, if we end up going for the level 7, we're just not going to realize that we can't, they may not realize that they can't send. So they go for the level 4 here, which is the better play, because if they do summon the level 7, they can't just go refrain, target, dump, because they are under Aria, and Aria protects both players from targeting. Talk about kind of counterproductive, but it's still going to be fine. We end up going for the fusion. They try to go refrain here. We explain them that they can't because of our Aria, and they end up going for the Soprano to kind of fuse up into an Etoile. Now they are playing around Nib in this case, and Veiler is going to be pretty nice, but we already have double hand trap them, so it's going to be pretty slim that we do have a hand trap, and the Etoile can just dodge everything else. We're going to see the Baka going to activate as well as the Soprano. Going to add us back the Aria on the summon of it, and then we also get the draw 1 card off of the Concerto in the graveyard. And it looks like we do have now a first movement solo, which is not going to be what we're kind of looking for. Now we could link away if we wanted to, but we are going to choose to Pendulum Summon with the Aria instead. And do we link here? No, we're just going to pass on that. Okay. I mean, not the greatest hand, honestly, but it's still going to be good enough, right? You have a hand trap in the hand, you have an Etoile, and an Aria. It's going to be pretty nice. We do choose to normal summon out the All-Connects, activating the effect, and they do ask us what does this card do. And so we take a second here to read, and this card's absolutely crazy. I forgot that it could just manipulate its level by destroying another one of the type it is. So it's kind of crazy. And they end up choosing to Ash the All-Connects, which is going to be fine. We do end up activating Sanctuary, which will then go up into the island, and then we're going to activate the effect. They do chain the Etoile here, which is going to then bounce the Soprano as well as the Etoile itself to essentially make us not be able to trigger the island. And we have the All-Connects once again in the hand. Now we do have another fire somewhere in rotation because we could activate the All-Connects, but we just pass turn on that, and then of course we're going to be seeing the Etoile return with the Soprano during the end phase, and then that's going to be just a pass turn. They draw for turn and they activate the couplet, searching for the Concerto right away, and we're most likely not going to be winning this game. We're going to see Concerto going to activate using the spell, the field, whatever, the pendulum launcher once again, going up to another Baka, and they're going to go for Chain Link 1, Chain Link 2, Chain Link 3, and then we're going to summon out most likely the level 7 from the deck. If we could summon out the Sonata if we wanted to, and that would be just enough for game if we don't have a Kieran. But they go for a Refrain instead, then Refrain can activate the effect of searching for the Sonata, which just is the exact same thing. Which is another 1800, which gives them another 2100 when the Sonata is being summoned. So we are going to submit defeat there. We should have Ashed. We had an Ash in the hand. We should have Ashed the Concerto search, but we just didn't think of it at the time. I mean, it wasn't going to change the outcome of the game anyways. We were losing at that point. They could have just linked away into the Link monster, discarding a random card, and then being able to just summon out 2 more. Go for the fusion summons, having like an Etoile and then double Shiberta against our Ulcanix and an island plus something else is not going to be enough. But moving on to game 3, we are now going to see Fire King going to be able to choose to go first, and Melodious will have to struggle a little bit to break these boards. Now, Melodious is a very good deck when you have like a bunch of hand traps in it, but the problem is that you want to be able to see 2 to 3 of those hand traps and then 1 to 2 engine pieces. Once you start seeing like 3 to 4 engine pieces in the deck, in your hand, your deck is going to be significantly weaker. And that's kind of my problem that I was having with the Melodious deck. Your end boards don't really change that much other than like having an extra Sonata on the field and stuff like that, depending on what you end up drawing. So it's like, it doesn't really change the power level of it compared to like the Fire King deck, where like depending on what you have, if you have a Kieran in hand, then you can play a little bit differently, making like a little bit of a better board. If you have like an Arvada Axis or the Garunix, you can have a Kieran and stuff like that, which is like easier, and then your board can just change to become even more powerful throughout it. But we are going to be seeing kind of how we do see a Lightning Storms being put into the deck. That definitely is a good option to play because you a lot of the times don't want to have any monsters on your field anyways. So having those like things you can activate first, like Lightning Storms, stuff like that, to clear your board. Even Dark Hole can be quite nice because you can like Dark Hole your field if they end up giving you like an Ibly or something like that, which doesn't normally happen, but it can. So like you can play those kind of cards that like are going to be kind of productive for you as well. But we're going to be seeing a Wanted being started off searching for a Diabell Star. And now we can kind of go up into the Azamina line if we need to. But we're going to think on it here. We're going to send the OG Grunish to the graveyard there to summon up the Diabell Star. Diabell Star is going to get hit with a Veiler on the activation of the effect, and then we're going to end up normal summoning out a copy of the Ulcanix. Ulcanix will then activate, and that's going to destroy a Flamebridge. And at this point, we were playing the Flamebridge, the Oak, the Ash, and the Poplar. I am taking that out of my deck. I honestly hate those cards. Every time I play with the Snake Eyes cards, I find that I'm just doing actually worse. Like, I'm not playing correctly. And that really just bothering me. Like, I don't love the zombie vampire lines. I ended up milling the Hallowed Azamina multiple times in the day. I just didn't enjoy it. So, personally, I cut that completely from my deck. I don't want to see Flamebridge anymore, to be honest. But we're going to go for the Pawnex, then we're going to go for the Runix. And we're going to be able to search for the Sanctuary off the Pawnex, placing the island on the field. And this is going to allow us to search for a Kieran. So, we are going to be explaining what the Ulcanix does once again. And, yeah. We destroyed the Arvada as well, so that's going to be able to come back out at some point. But we're going to go for Island, destroying the Ulcanix here, letting us search for a Kieran. Then we're going to activate the Ulcanix effect, letting us summon out the OG Garunix. And now we do have 2 level 8s on the field, so this could be a zombie vampire line. But I'm not exactly sure what we end up doing. We do go for zombie vampire here. And then we end up trying to hit, and depending on what we hit here, the game can kind of change. So we see on their side the Soprano, Aria, and Refrain in a first movement solo, and we end up getting OSS, I think D-Barrier, an Imperm, and then another spell. So we have OSS, which can search for Snake Eyes Ash, and we have the Wanted to put it back to the bottom of the deck. So we can have stuff like that where we can get the effect, but we're just going to summon out their Ariana, and then we're going to link away for an IP. And then we link those 2 away for a Princess. Now our Princess is going to be protected by Ghost Ogre, which is pretty cool as well. But we're going to go for Princess, first we're going to go banish the OSS to put the the Diabell Star to the bottom of the deck. And search for Snake Eyes Ash, most likely. And then we can go Wanted, put back to the bottom of the deck to just draw one. Then we're going to go Kieran, destroy the Snake Eyes Ash here to summon itself out. This is going to allow us now to summon out the Snake Eyes Ash off of the Princess or the Flamebridge, kind of depending on what we want here. So we are going to go for the Flamebridge instead. And then Flamebridge will activate, putting the IP. And now I'm going to be honest. There's zero reason in the world we ever need to put Flamebridge effect. Flamebridge does not need to come up. They do chain a Ghost Ogre on the Flamebridge. And like, this is what I mean. There was zero reason in the world to activate that Flamebridge. There's never, ever, ever a chance where we want to put the IP in the spell and trap card zone. It never comes up. You know, so that's definitely a misplay from our part. We should never have done that. But we ended up doing it. I did it a couple times, actually. And like, I really just do regret doing it completely at all. Like, it's like, what the heck? But now I believe we just pass turn to them, and like, this board's pretty shit, honestly. You know, they do activate a Product Prosperity right off the top, and they have a level 7 in the hand as well. But we're going to be banishing most likely 6, and they do see quite a bit of Link monsters in their deck, as well as a Chaos Angel in the extra deck. I definitely think Chaos Angel does not need to fit in. I think I'd play the Link 5 instead. I think Chaos Angel is kind of a little bit of a cope, but we do see a first movement solo, a Talents, a Herald, a Sonata, an Ogre, as well as an Ash Blossom. So lots of hand traps there, and then a Sonata and a first movement solo. Now, if we have no other combo, we can choose a first movement solo, but they're choosing the Herald instead, which means that they have a good normal summon or a combo piece alongside now the negation. So we see an Ostinato being slapped down, and that's going to be able to kind of get them into their combo here. So we have a Refrain, we have the Ariana, and then we have a Soprano in the graveyard. So we don't have to send any of the Refrain and the Soprano. Instead, we can go up into a Baka here by sending the Sonata and the Cannon instead. And then we're going to be able to activate the effect summoning out the Sonata from the deck, or not the Sonata, but Soprano from the deck. And that's going to activate the effect allowing us to add back. Now we are thinking on this here, and we opt to do nothing. So that must be a Skyburn that we have set, which is why we didn't link away. So we're going to activate the effect to add back the Refrain. Yeah, so Skyburn is what we put to the graveyard there, or is set there. I mean, maybe we should have still linked away and just got the one pop off the Kieran, but I mean, when we misplay with the IP in the Spell and Trapper Zone, yeah, I guess you don't even have to link away for the Ambler Whale, because there's no really point of destroying the Ambler Whale, but we're going to activate the effect of Soprano, and then we're going to be chaining the Skyburn, and we're still only targeting the Kieran alongside the Soprano. So, yeah, we should have definitely linked away. That was a huge misplay on our parts. No real excuse. Then we're going to go Chainlink 1, Ponix, Chainlink 2, Garunix, summoning itself out, as well as the Kieran being Chainlink 3, or Chainlink 2, I suppose. And then we're going to summon out the Arvada, and we destroy the Ponix. Why would we destroy Ponix? Destroy the Princess so we can actually activate the Princess in the graveyard. What are we doing? We're going to activate the Garunix effect that's going to be destroying a Ulcanix. There's also another 0 reason to do that. It just boosts the attack. It makes our deck a little bit worse. The top decking mode now. So that definitely was a huge misplay on our part as well. And they still have their normal summon of the Refrain. So we're going to normal summon the Refrain, activate the effect here. And we can chain the Arvada, but we know they have a Herald in the hand. So they're going to go Herald to negate and destroy. Now this is going to allow us to activate the Arvada effect to bring out the Kieran back. And now we can Sanctuary as well once they summon out something else. So we do have that going for us here. They're going to be seeing the Couplet, going to try to bring back out, but we can't bring back to level 7. It has to be a level 5 or lower. So you're taking a second to look at our graveyard here. But like, no matter what they do, we can just summon out. But like, we don't want to wait. Like we don't want to kind of let them fusion summon here. So like, depending on what they end up choosing to do, we have to go for the Soprano. And the Soprano already activated the effects they cannot add back. But we are going to trigger the Sanctuary here to kind of blow up their board. I'm doing this so I'm not letting them make a Twa, because a Twa is going to be kind of hard for us to be able to beat. So, they have 2 cards left in the hand, and then one of them we know is going to be the Couplet, which can search for Concerto. It's going to give them another body. So we are going to go for that here, and then we're going to be destroying everything. But this is going to allow us now to have Princess in the graveyard, which whenever they summon out another body, which is going to happen off of the Baka, we can just go the Princess to destroy, and then we're just going to be able to kind of help us here. So we are going to go on that. We're going to go Princess here. We should definitely Princess, because that way it would make them have to have 2 Melodiouses in the hand. So we're going to go Princess, destroying the High King Garunix as well as the level 7, and then we're going to activate the effect of the Garunix, summoning out the Ulcanix, and then another body. But they just emit defeat here, realizing they have kind of lost. Having Ash as well as a Soprano is not, or the Couplet is not going to do anything for them. Unfortunately, we did have a little bit of layer of interruption, and we didn't even end on our best board. So that kind of just goes to show you the power of the Fire King engine. Like, when you are able to play and just swarm the field with stuff, and they have like so many different interaction points, even though you do make misplays, and we made a bunch of them there, I think that grand total in that last turn was like 3 misplays, and then the next turn there was like 2 more, so that's 5 misplays total. We're still able to take the win when you're laying your interruptions so powerfully. But yeah, definitely not the kind of gameplay you guys should be doing. Play a little bit better than that. I am still learning the deck, so there will be mistakes like that. But looking back at them in these videos, I do get to learn kind of how to play better, which is going to be really cool. Here I'm showing him just a Melodious combo. He is also learning the deck, so being able to explain to him and show him the stuff is going to be pretty nice. I do explain to him also like the Baka chain link 1, or Baka should always be chain link 3, because if they ash you, then you know you're getting a free ash sent to the graveyard. They're hand ripping themselves. But regardless, hope you guys are watching the video. Don't forget to like, comment, have some more content like this. Don't forget to stay safe. Peace.